Is SETT a brainless champ? Now, SETT has been one of those simple champions Riot has made in years. A nice break from, let's say, some of the more skill-expressive champions. But that begs the question, is he simple or just straight up brainless? Today, we're going to be diving into what's made the boss one of the most controversial juggernauts in recent history and finding out whether he is brainless or not. To start off, let's take a look at SETT's abilities and find out how difficult they are not only to utilize but to also understand. And if you want to see me do a deeper dive into SETT's abilities, you can click this video right here for that too. But simply put, SETT's abilities are pretty understandable. They don't overall require many challenging mechanics, and though of course they have some depth to them like most champs do, you can pick them up for the first time and know how to use them. I would argue, however, they're not entirely brain dead to use. Let me explain. Take someone like Garen, for example, agreed on by many to be the most brainless champion in the game, and I would never play him, ever. Garen is brainless because he basically only has one way to play: damage stat checking. For the sake of this video, the way I define a brainless champ is one whose playstyle is so simple that it can hardly be deviated from due to its basic nature. Other champions that I would argue fall under this category include Tryndamere, Blitzcrank, and Old Mundo. By this definition, SETT cannot fall into a mindless state because his versatility and his abilities have led him to play in 4 separate roles, and some of which have varying playstyles to them. Now, I know this may sound like I'm just being a base SETT main, but before you pass judgment, let's get into the playstyle outside of his abilities. SETT's strength lies in teamfights and small skirmishes, which makes sense. I mean, after all, he is a pit boss. Yeah, he's going to be good at throwing some hands. The way SETT plays his teamfights and skirmishes is very indicative of how he's supposed to be played, and how easy he is to play for that matter. He is a front-to-back diver, no questions asked. Now, I feel like this point is where I feel like SETT is at his most basic, and I would argue where his argument for being brainless is his strongest. By virtue of him throwing himself into the middle of the entire enemy team, he's a giant target for the enemy team just to unload damage onto. And let's be real here, it doesn't take a skilled player to tank a giant chunk of damage. This ties into why his W is often seen as such a brainless ability. In a one-on-one fight or a one-on-two fight, a good SETT player is going to need to use their W optimally because it's unlikely you're going to instantly go golden with it. Now, when he's in team fights, however, he doesn't really need to worry about how he uses it because he's just getting hit by literally every single person, which means he's going to go golden pretty much instantly. This would also explain why ADC mains or even mid lane mains are so vocal about SETT's W being a brainless true damage nuke. This is probably because they very seldom see SETT other than when he has to use his ability pretty much instantly. They don't really get to see when he actually has to time it because they're not interacting with him at that point in the game a lot of the time. Now, once again, let me reiterate. W is not a hard ability to use by any means, and it's nowhere near the top of hardest abilities in the game to utilize. More so, what I'm trying to highlight is it does have an element of skill expression that half the map doesn't see until it's already a dangerous weapon. In fact, what's even more shocking is that it only takes 3 seconds to subscribe to this channel, and if you don't enjoy it, you can always unsubscribe later. Gotcha. But with that being said, let's answer the question you all clicked on this video on. Is SETT brainless? No. But he is not a challenging champion at all compared to the other 158 in the game. His strengths and weaknesses are pretty straightforward, but there's still room in the boundaries of those for the player to decide how they want to play him. Take Blitzcrank, who I mentioned earlier. He's pretty brainless because there's only one way to play him. And build paths don't really count because that's different than the way we've been evaluating SETT for this video. Blitzcrank has one job that he's incredibly good at: hook. SETT has a couple jobs he can be good at. He can teamfight, peel, or tank. And now, in kind of a one-sentence summary of my point, SETT is easy, but his flexibility and some room for skill expression makes him not entirely brainless. And maybe you think I'm completely wrong, and if that's the case, be sure to let me know down in the comments below. I will respond to every single one, so I want your honest feedback. If I'm completely wrong, tell me. And if you want to keep chatting with me, I stream on Twitch 4 days a week. And if you want more content like this, you can always subscribe, as I previously mentioned, as we upload 1 video and 1 short a week. But with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. Appreciate you sticking around, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Later.